Welcome to Crimson Guitars, welcome to my home studio, and welcome to another Luthier's Teardown. This is where I rip apart a guitar, have a look at what makes it tick from a guitar builder's point of view, and in this case, it's being raffled off in order to fund Dorset Guitar Museum, which is our collection of guitars that we're putting together for you guys to experience and use. There's going to be all sorts of stuff online, but you all know this, so check out the link below. Burn it. Let's dig into a guitar that I have wanted to get intimate with for probably 20 years or so. This is a 1990s Patrick Eggle Berlin Pro. Like, come on then. Okay, so vintage Hiscox hardcase. Patrick Eggle is one of the UK's institutions where it comes to guitar building. And the whole story is sad and strange, but he is still in business as Patrick James Eggle, making some of the top electric guitars in the UK. He has built jazz guitars. He was based out of the States at one point. He like acclaimed major instruments, and he has built at one period for, I suppose, a decade or so, he was the top acoustic guitar builder in the UK, and I don't know why he's gone back to predominantly solid bodies, but I can guess. They're actually easier to make, but Patrick, let us know. This is his original company, Patrick Eggle, that he sort of lost full control of. This is made in England, and obviously based on the PRS, or at least inspired by. The overall length, the overall compactness of this body make it an incredibly comfortable guitar, and I like it. I like it a lot. If you want to figure out if a guitar is well made or not, look at the nut. Now, this is a bone nut, well polished, etc., nicely shaped, but my strings are actually set in properly. The E and the A, the two bass strings, are just poking up, just above the top of the thing. Your D is just relief. Most builders will just have a giant nut and then put the string right down, and it's embedded in the nut, and that's how you end up with problems with binding and slash or slippage or badly set nuts. You're supposed to have your string sitting about halfway into the nut, and this is probably the best cut nut I've seen on a production guitar ever. I'm not a particular fan of the headstock shape. It's a little bit amorphous to me. I love Sperzel Tuners, and we'll talk about those later. The finish is actually aged really well. It's starting to get that sort of used patina, and of course an amber stain is always nice. The carve is verging on a sort of German carve, which I'm not a particular fan of. It's a little bit extreme up at the front here, but still attractive. We've got the recessed pots, and those are never particularly fun to sound. Fairly standard hardware. I suspect that these are Kent Armstrong humbuckers. We'll look at those in a bit. 24 frets, abalone inlays, and fairly chunky frets, but not too high, which is pretty important. Set neck with a nice chunky heel, solid mahogany neck, one piece, big old volute. That's quite a nice curve. Belly carve that you can see in the light there. Branded back plate, which I love. I think just everything has been done well, and it's incredibly sad that the company ended up being in the hands of a person or people that squandered it. Now here we do have some buckle rash, and that's fine, but all in all, a stunning guitar. So over time, if you've got buzz, it's often the washer here causing your buzz. Things loosen, or wood compresses underneath the pressure of the nuts, etc. That's got a surprising amount of give in the thread there. It's almost as though the thread and the bolt don't really actually match up. Suppose right down you don't have it there. Interesting. Now, before we get on and tighten these, let's show you the Sperzel trick. Sperzel tuners are very lightweight, and they are manufactured by a company that they're very, very clever. I can take this tuner, very lightweight, from the left-hand side of this Patrick Eggle Berlin Plus guitar. Take the tuner apart. We've got a few pieces there. This shaft pulls out, and I can take that, put it in the other side with just a little bit of finessing to get it to grip. She goes back together, put the washer on, and suddenly I have got a 4 and 2 set of tuners. Is that not awesome? I'm a big fan of the Ernie Ball headstock, and yeah, there we go. I love intelligent modular designs, don't you? The only thing I'm not a particular fan of on these is the lack of a screw, because as you can see, over the time that's loosened, and if it wasn't for the tension of the string, that would be rattling all over the place. While I'm here, I'm just taking the tuners off, and I'm going to use a little bit of cleaner just to clean this off. I wonder, that might well be a dual action truss rod, I hope so. There's a little sticker in there. Crimson fretboard and finish cleaner. Delicate, yet efficacious. B, 1292, so December 92, 1453, I assume is, that's how many guitars they had made up to this point. Let's see what these weigh. 5 ounces, 6 ounces. 0.17, so 170 grams. That is not bad. In comparison to the 252 grams of this set of locking Goto 510s. That's a pretty chunky difference there. It's actually lighter underneath the tuners. This mahogany has darkened over time. Oh, I suppose I'll clean the tuners down a little bit as well, since we're here. So these are, I assume, old Kent Armstrongs. Looks like a shallow pickup screw to me. Ooh. Oh, well, that's not got much cable. Designed by Kent Armstrong, model PAO P5, I think. Oh, these cables are so short. Damn. HPAOPE, designed by Kent Armstrong. Okay. There are better pickups out there, but these do the job for sure. Okay, and then we've got a nice, well-fitted tenon. There's a little bit of a gap at the end there, but Again, I've seen far worse. Going all the way underneath that pickup. Yeah, it's quality construction there. I would have liked a little bit more room to play with the cable though, of course. There we go. Oh no. There we go. The seal is broken. Oh, there we go. So it's actually grease and stuff and sweat and nonsense that's got under there and stuck that down. Yuck. Everything about this guitar is just absolute quality. We've got full shielding. We've got shielding paint. We've got an earth point bolted to the shielding. Nice, great, big, chunky wires. Really good quality solder, etc. Tiny little super cheap capacitor. That capacitor probably cost like threepence. It's solid. We've got a coil, tap coil split there, and yeah, it looks great. And what we haven't really talked about yet is you here are looking at a one-piece, I'm assuming it's mahogany. It doesn't feel like sapele, it doesn't look like sapele. A one-piece mahogany body on this Berlin Plus. I think that's pretty cool. Bridge, 8.44, neck, 9.00, middle 8.33, and then we do have a, hold on, 4.4 and a 4.3. So yeah, pretty good. We've also got a relatively thin body. Obviously it's carved, but at the edge here we're talking, yeah, 34 millimeters. Nice. I'm not a particular fan of this bit here. The fact that we've got a nice curve and a nice curve that then goes and hits a thing. I understand why they did it, but personally, I like nice sweeping lines without the extrusion, I suppose. These frets are not great. They've been well played, but nowhere near as bad as the Les Paul we did last week. So it's just a light level crown polish, and I can get this beastie up and playing. All right, just before we go, scale length, we'll go into the frets at least. 318, it's 635, 12.5, obviously 25 inches. Crimson, notched straight edge. Well, this is very nearly there. This is just a really well-made guitar. Oh, it competes with anything I've seen, really, from a sort of relatively mass-produced instrument. This just stops me from knocking the nut out by mistake. I remember being so scared of the leveling and crowning process, and in the end, with a little bit of practice and the right tools, you too can achieve an absolute perfect fret job. Seriously, it's yeah, you can do it. I believe in you. So this is the super fine premium crowning file that we've just released, and this is reducing my sanding time by a significant amount, like most of it. I'm getting rid of all of the scratches from the original crowning. It's almost ready to polish. Medium fret rubber. This is also cleaning up all the gunk off the fretboard and preparing that surface at the same time. And I'm going to go medium, fine, super fine, and then buff on a machine buffer, just because, well, the machine buffer goes to the final nth degree. Please define nth degree for me in the comments. Where does it even come from? Give me that etymology, yo. Here you go, 10 minutes with the fret rubbers. And I'm actually, well, these frets are shinier than you would get on many production guitars, although it's almost impossible to film it. I'm not quite finished yet though. Same jeweler's rouge on the strop, drop the jeweler's rouge, and yeah, onwards. This wipes off any excess polish left from there and just makes sure we got the perfect job done. What's your favorite method of polishing frets? And why is it delegating it to somebody else? Doing something this well is its own reward. Doing something that turns out this well. There we go. And here's my favorite way of stringing up. Wrap around on the thinner strings a couple of times, push it down, go through, and then you pull a taut like that, then tune up. And essentially the string is being pushed down by the tail of it there. Make sure you cut the right bit. Okay, I've had to go back in and switch clean the pots, and the jack was a little bit scratchy, which was a problem because the jack didn't, in the same way that the pickups have no room for play, they've used the exact right amount of wire, so you can't actually get the jack socket out of the guitar. The action is nothing. It is so slinky indeed. 1.4 millimeters at the low E, 1.8 1.1, 1.2 at the treble. Tiny, tiny, plays incredibly well. Neck. Middle. Bridge. Now we've got a treble bleed circuit, capacitor only on the volume. Which works really well. And then we've got coil taps. Neck. Middle. I like that. And then bridge. I absolutely love these. Now, this is the Plus, so it's a figured top. The Pro is even prettier. There was even a Deluxe with ultra high-end timbers and fit and finish, etc. But the base instrument is supremely well made. And this is also firmly in the era when Patrick Eggle himself was still at the company. He left early on in 1994. This is... It's an incredibly cool guitar. The balance, the weight, oh, the weight. 3.37 kilograms or 7 pounds 6 ounces. This is pretty much spot on, but I prefer the balance of the Berlin to the PRS, which it obviously was based on. Here is a story about Patrick and Paul being at the same guitar show, and Paul saying to Patrick, hey man, yeah, that's a little bit too close to what I'm doing. And essentially, if you come into the States, we're probably going to sue you, or something like that. That may be apocryphal, but, well, it doesn't surprise me. I think this is an improvement. I honestly, genuinely think that this is an improvement over Paul's design. I don't particularly like that shape at the back of the heel here. Your volute is beautiful. The headstock's a little bit amorphous too. I think it's just a little bit too fat here for me. Do you know what? I prefer everything about the Paul Reed Smith guitars, the Custom 24 and 22, except for this is slinkier. It feels smaller. The bridge is maybe a little bit further back. The body is maybe a little bit slinkier. And this is a 24 fret neck, whereas my Custom 24 is far further out and less comfortable to play. This guitar could be yours if you're watching this video in the week in which we put it out, or the week or two. If not, please check out dailyguitarraffle.com for the new ones, because by that point, dailyguitarraffle.com will be up, as will Dorset Guitar Museum, which is the whole thing that we're building at this point. The other reason that we're doing all of these guitars is that I am planning big things at Crimson, and we are sincerely excited about launching some new guitars, and I figured that the absolute best way to do that was to get down and dirty with as many other builders' guitars as possible. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Okay.